They fought a war that was not their own. They bled for an empire that saw them as expendable. And when they returned home, their sacrifices were rewarded with chains instead of justice, indignity instead of freedom. This is the story of the 40 Group, a brotherhood forged in the crucible of war, united by betrayal and driven by an unrelenting quest for justice and dignity. The 1940s were a decade of upheaval across the globe. For Kenya's men, it marked a period of unimaginable sacrifice. Recruited to fight in World War II, they left their homes, families, and traditions behind to fight for the British Empire.
White powers, the British, the French, the Dutch, needed help from being beaten by a power that was not white, Japan. Japan had swallowed the colonies, beat them up, talking about Asia for Asians, with Japan being the leader of the Asians. And so they had to mobilize all the resources they could. And the Africans found themselves fighting in Asia, in the Middle East, to save the British Empire from the Japanese or from some other people.
When about 100,000 Africans were sent to Burma in 1942, in what was known as the Burma Campaign, the British did not know that these soldiers would return to Kenya and join an uprising whose ramifications would be felt countrywide. The African soldiers who fought in Burma proved to be some of the best jungle fighters among the Allies. During heavy monsoon rain in the very rough country, African soldiers were able to advance and fight well against the Japanese. At the beginning of the war in 1939, there were only 2,900 men in the King's African Rifles. But there was a big threat that the Italians might invade Kenya from Ethiopia. The entry of Japan into the war also raised the stakes higher, forcing the British to kick up mobilization efforts. That meant they needed to send African soldiers to bolster effects in different theaters of operation. Not all British East African soldiers went to Burma. Some, like Stanley Madenge and General Ruku, fought in Ethiopia against the Italian fascists who had unseated Emperor Haile Selassie. But the name Burma has some mythical allure to it, perhaps because of the country's torrid jungles, its impermeable mysteries, and the fact that the country used to be known as Burma is now known by a different name, Myanmar. For a majority of Africans, being in the army provided employment. It was thought to be a route out of poverty. The effects of the Great Depression during the 1930s had an adverse effect on the settler economy, leading to a decline in job opportunities both in the urban areas and in the farms. To make matters worse, there was a crop failure in 1939, the same year that the war erupted. As a result, many unemployed African young men saw the war as an escape from a life of desperation, purposelessness, and even boredom. Warohio Itote, widely known as General China, aptly captures this in his book Mau Mau General. General China writes that many people joined the British Army because Kenya was under threat of invasion by the Germans and Italians. The colonial administration had convinced many Kenyans that the looming invasion would complicate the lives of the people. However, this was part of the British propaganda to blind Kenyans from the reality. After all, Kenyans were already under an oppressive regime. But upon arrival in Burma, Africans faced racial discrimination. They were subjected to corporal punishment for being undisciplined and were whipped by their seniors, a practice they found humiliating. While the British military was multiracial, only Africans were mistreated. Unknown to the British, this period would later mark the turning point in Kenya's Mau Mau War. Fighting in Burma exposed Kenyans to sophisticated military operations. They learned the art of combat and military strategy. They also learned guerrilla warfare. These skills became essential when the Mau Mau War began. The novelist Sam Kahiga puts the following utterance in the mouth of Stanley Madenge. The British knew we were good fighters, but no black man was made a general. Although those white soldiers who were supposed to lead us preferred to stay in the rear and leave us to die at the front, we saw all those tricks, and from them we learned a lot. The Mau Mau author Henry Kahinga Wachanga recorded that Madenge claimed to have served in diverse theaters of the Second World War, such as India, Madagascar, the Middle East, Burma, Rangoon, Singapore, Ceylon, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. General China writes that while in Burma, one British soldier explained he was there to fight for his national independence. The soldier implored on General China to free Kenya first before fighting for other interests. The African soldiers who came back from Burma and the other theaters of operation during the Second World War came back with a new conscience and equipped with military skills. But after they returned from the war, the African soldiers felt betrayed and unrecognized. While the British soldiers were rewarded with land, the Africans were abandoned. They were promised recognition, compensation, and better lives upon their return. They believed they were fighting for freedom, not just for Europe, but for themselves and their future. But those promises were hollow. Their European counterparts were rewarded with land, pensions, and parades, while African soldiers were handed medals, symbols of token acknowledgement that only deepened the wounds of betrayal. Disillusioned and marginalized, the African ex-servicemen returned to a reality worse than the one they had left. Jobless and landless, they faced a colonial system designed to keep them in perpetual subjugation. Amid this despair, a movement was born. Almost to a man, the Kikuyu young men who went to World War II belonged mostly to the 1940 age group. This group that mostly comprised men who were circumcised in the year 1940 came to be known as Anake 40, or the 1940 age set, or the 40 group. This group was already a militarized Kikuyu age group regiment, for circumcision in the traditional sense was a kind of boot camp in which doctrine and even warfare were taught, alongside life skills and other important cultural lessons. For them to have received British military training and be deployed in foreign theaters of operation in which they attained combat experience was bound to produce combustive effects. As Professor Ali Mazrui noted, the war humanized white men in the eyes of their African comrades as they fought together in the Horn of Africa, North Africa, Malaya, and elsewhere. To witness a white man scared to death under fire was itself a revelation to many Africans who had previously seen white men only in their arrogant, commanding postures as a colonial elite. The British had recruited the Africans believing they were less susceptible to malaria and that they were naturally skilled in jungle warfare owing to life in Africa. It was the jungle experience in Burma that would come in handy for the 40 group. The 40 group, or Anake 40, named for their shared identity, men who had undergone traditional circumcision rites in the 1940s and veterans of the same war, was united by a burning sense of betrayal. What they lacked in resources, they made up for in resilience, organization, and a vision for freedom. The 40 group's first battle was against forced labor. Women were being coerced into unpaid terracing projects under the guise of self-conservation, leaving their children hungry and unattended. The 40 group had had enough. By August 1947, women stopped terracing altogether despite threats and force from the colonial government. This was a monumental victory for the movement, a clear signal that unity could defeat oppression. But protests were not enough. The 40 group knew their cause demanded loyalty and unshakable unity. Through secret oaths, they bound themselves and their communities to the struggle for land and freedom. These oaths, known as Muma wa Oiguano wa Muige, the oath of community unity, became the backbone of their resistance.
Nĩ kwambĩrĩirie gũka muma twĩ macamba-inĩ twandĩkĩtwo nĩ mũthũngũ gũgĩũka hingo ĩyo rĩ nĩ kwarĩ andũ macagũrĩtwo nĩ Kenyatta andũ makĩgwa atĩrĩrĩ ciĩ kũndũ o kũndũ macagũrĩtwo atongoria mũkahe andũ muma tũingate athũngũ ĩno magĩcagũrirwo magathiaga kũndũ tũkĩheo muma ithuĩ akorwo nĩ camba ng'ima tũkaheo muma ũcio atwa marĩ kũu
ĩyo mima ĩrĩa nyuĩte nĩ 1952 hĩndĩ ĩyo 52 nĩ kumĩra yoimĩrire kũrĩ andũ othe twanyuĩte harĩa mbere nĩthuĩ twanyuaga kũu hĩndĩ ĩyo kwĩragwo nĩ mumu rĩ nĩguo twanyuaga muma na ti gũkũ Naivasha gwingĩ kinya na gũkũ guothe twanyuĩrire kũrĩa gwa Gakura mũtitũ wĩ harĩa rũgongo nĩkuo twanyuĩrire na nĩ kũrĩa mĩciĩ ya athũngũ kũrĩa tondũ baba maikaraga mĩciĩ-inĩ ya athũngũ mandĩkĩtwo twakĩambĩrĩria kũnyua mumu ũcio na twanyua rĩ twacokire rĩrĩa ũhoro ũcio wathire na mbere ũgĩtuĩka nĩ ũingĩhire mũno Kenya
twanyuire kĩambo twinthe twanyua na arũme ũtemũka kana mũrũme gĩthaka-inĩ twaunyaga kĩambo.
The researcher David Hyde writes, Anake 40 was able to build a formidable organization which extended into all parts of Central Province and to some areas of the Rift Valley. Its cadres were sent out into the reserves to establish branches. This organizational drive was particularly successful in Nyeri and Fort Hall districts. The group consolidated its links with the reserves by setting up a series of district committees in Nairobi. Group members from Nyeri, Fort Hall, Kiambu, the Rift Valley, Embu, Meru, and Machakos who lived in Nairobi worked under the direction of their district committees in the urban area. Their mantra was simple but powerful. Ithaka na Weyathi, land and freedom. They vow to fight not for the empire, but for their people and their future.
Ũrĩa wothe tũigaga rĩ tondũ twendaga ithuĩ maũndũ merĩ nitwendaga wiyathi na ithaka citu tieherwo ni athungu twiyathe na ithaka citu icio matatunyite tweke atia ithuĩ tũtiarũaga nĩ ũndũ wa mbara twarũire nĩ ũndũ wa maũndũ marĩkũ.
The defiance of the 40 group sparked a movement that would grow into the Mau Mau Rebellion, an uprising that shook the foundations of colonial rule. Their courage and sacrifices paved the way for Kenya's eventual independence in 1963. The 40 Group's legacy is not just a story of resistance. It is a testament to the power of unity, determination, and an unyielding belief in justice. Their fight was not in vain. It lives on in the freedoms we cherish today. They fought for an empire, but they died fighting for their people. The 40 Group's legacy reminds us that freedom is never given. It is won through sacrifice and unwavering courage. They are the unsung heroes of Kenya's journey to independence.
For more lessons, follow us in our channels: YouTube, Mau Mau Chronicles, website maumauchronicles.co.ke. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.